So, welcome back to the third episode of the where I make a build that fits the story of whatever character from whatever movie, with the caveat that I am not allowed to use any duplicate perks, nor am I allowed to use that character's teachable perks. And the character we're going to be doing today is Freddy Krueger from A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, The Dream Warriors, what some say to be the greatest nightmare movie of all time. For our first perk, we have A Nurse's Calling. The main reason I chose this perk is because this movie mainly takes place inside of a mental hospital, which coincidentally houses some of the final children of the angry mob that killed Freddy all those years ago. For our next perk, we have Forced Hesitation. This is actually the first movie where Freddy tailors his dreams based on his victims' fears and insecurities. For example, Will in his wheelchair, Erin and her drug abuse, Kristen and her neglectful mother, and Joey and his forbidden crush. For our next perk, we have Hex Devour Hope. In this movie, we learn that the more Freddy kills, the more powerful he becomes. With every soul gained, he becomes stronger, more durable, and gains more abilities. And even with dream powers, there's still no match for Freddy Krueger.
I'm sorry, kid. I don't believe in fairy tales.
And for our final perk, we have Starstruck, which represents the most iconic line in the Elm Street franchise.
Fuck the prime time, bitch.
For the add-ons, all I have is the pill bottle to represent the Hypnosil that Nancy was taking for the last 5 years to prevent herself from having nightmares. Anyways, I hope you enjoy the video, and let's get started.
You are all my children now.
Let's get into the likes and dislikes for A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, The Dream Warriors, which a lot of people actually consider to be the best movie in the entire franchise, which, hot take, I don't really agree with all that much. I honestly think that Nightmare 1 and A New Nightmare are far better movies than Dream Warriors, hands down. And another hot take, even though I don't think this movie is better than Dream Warriors, I'd much rather watch Freddy vs. Jason. I'm sorry, it's just who I am. It's just who I am. But that doesn't mean that Dream Warriors is bad at all. It is a phenomenal movie, and one of the reasons why it is such a phenomenal movie is my very first like, Freddy fucking Krueger. Yes, his middle name is fucking. If you guys watch my previous lore builds, you would know that I actually don't really care for the jokey one-liner Freddy that we get later on in the franchise for Nightmares 4, 5, and 6. I much more prefer the sadistic and mean-spirited Freddy that we get in Nightmares 1 and 2. Not saying that, you know, those versions of Freddy are bad, it's just I prefer a more mean Freddy rather than a just throwing jokes out left and right just because Freddy. And in this movie, the reason why I like him so much is because he's kind of a nice combination of the two. Sure, he does throw a few one-liners here and there, but they're more directed towards his victim rather than just saying it for the audience. Like, for example, in Freddy's Dead, when Freddy blows up Carlos's head and catches the hearing aid, he says, "Nice hearing from you, Carlos," which I don't really like it all that much because it's more so a joke for the audience rather than a direct insult towards Carlos to terrorize him. I feel like if you're going to say some jokes, say it to the person and be mean with it to, you know, get a rise out of them or something. And in this movie, he does a lot of that. Like, my personal favorite, one-liner and lines from Freddy is when he's going towards Will, the wheelchair kid, and in Will's dream he can walk and he's a wizard master, but Freddy is kind of trying to give him a little reality check saying, "When you wake up, it's back in the saddle," basically telling him, yeah, you're nothing to me. And after that, he ends up getting a hold of the kid and says, "Sorry kid, I don't believe in fairy tales," also mocking the fact that he's a bit of a nerd and that his magic has no effect on Freddy. Like, I like those kinds of jokes, the ones that kind of like dig in the fact that you are powerless against him. I love those kind of one-liners. And you obviously have the one-liner when he says, "Welcome to prime time, bitch," which was also improv, by the way. Robert Englund, it was not in the script whatsoever. Robert Englund was just, you know, I'm just going to throw this out here and see what happens, and it ends up being one of the most iconic lines in Nightmare history, which applauds to you, Robert Englund, the GOAT. But yeah, that's mainly the reason why I like this Freddy so much. And also, I like the look of Freddy. I think this is probably one of the best looks we've seen for Freddy in any Nightmare film ever. You know, Freddy vs. Jason is pretty good too. I'm gonna hold that statement. For my next like, I have the dream sequences. And can I just point out how this movie alone has 3 of the most iconic dream sequences in any Nightmare movie ever. It has the puppeteering scene where Freddy turns this kid's veins into puppet strings and then lures him off the side of a building. And you also have the back alley scene where Freddy is fighting this girl and then he turns his fingers into syringes and says, "Let's get high," and then injects her with them. And you also have the "Welcome to prime time, bitch" scene. It's 3 of the most iconic dreams in any Nightmare movie. In this movie alone, dude. Like, what the fuck? It's probably one of the reasons why people like this movie so much and consider it the best is because of that fact alone, probably. But my personal favorite is probably the opening scene with Kristen. I think one of the main reasons why I like this opening so much is because it kind of gives me like the feeling of going through a haunted house when I was a kid. Like, it starts off with Kristen being teleported to Nancy's old decrepit house and she meets up with this little girl who's supposed to be like her younger self, I think. And this little girl delivers one of the most unintentionally creepy lines I've heard in a horror film ever. And I forget exactly what happens, but something happens and a little girl turns to Kristen and says, "Freddy's home." And I don't know why, but it's so creepy. It gives me goosebumps every time I hear it. But then it transitions to like bodies hanging from the ceiling, Kristen walking through this like goopy stuff, and it kind of reminds me of this trap at a haunted house when I was a kid, where it was called the quicksand trap, and it was basically just a trampoline with a bunch of sand on top of it, and it would be like really hard to walk on. It was really fun. But yeah, that scene happens, and then turns out Kristen has been carrying a dead child this entire time. Then you transition into the whole razor blade scene. I'm not going to get into that. Next up on my like sheet, I have the backstory for Freddy, and I like how we actually got a bit of a backstory for Freddy in this movie. Now, a lot of people probably wouldn't agree with that because most people would rather keep that ambiguous. Most people would probably want to not explain the killer so much, not explain why they are the way they are, which to an extent I agree with you, but that's more so reserved for characters like Michael Myers or Art the Clown, who are better to be left ambiguous. You know, not having a motive is a lot scarier, but for Freddy, who already has a motive that we know of from the previous 2 movies, I think it's pretty cool to have a backstory for why he is the way he is. You know, I've always enjoyed the scenes from Freddy's Dead where we saw Freddy's childhood of him like smashing a hamster with a hammer, or him retaliating against his father and just not feeling pain anymore, just saying, "Pain? What's that? Fuck that. I'm gonna use that against you." I find that fascinating, and it shows that Freddy has always been evil, and it's even more like kind of confirmed with his backstory from this movie, where we learn that his mother was trapped in a room full of 100 maniacs, and, you know, they took advantage of her, and then 9 months later, little Freddy popped out, and he's evil because his father was insane. It's just as simple as that. And there's other religious ties to that for why he is the way he is, but mainly just because his father was a maniac. That's really about it. For like numero 4, I have the establishment of dream powers. Now, I do like dream powers as a concept. I find it to be a very fascinating part of this movie, and it does make each and every one of the characters a little bit more unique than just being generic stereotypes like Will being a nerd, or Kincaid being a brute, or Joey being a mute. It, you know, makes each and every one of the characters a little bit more interesting, but some of the dream powers are really not all to write home about. Like, for example, Kristen's dream power is the fact she's very athletic, I guess. Yeah, she can do backflips and, you know, kick Freddy in the chest. Cool. Yeah, cool. And the other girl, who's like a badass chick, she has a mohawk and pocket knives and a drug problem. Yay. But then you have Will, who has literal wizard abilities. He can create things out of thin air and have little electrical lightning Palpatine, like pow, and then just get completely negged by Freddy. And then you have Kincaid, who has super strength, and Joey with super speed. And I really wish that Nancy had a dream power, but apparently she just doesn't get one. She's into survival, so that's all she needs.
I'm into survival.
And I also like how you can actually expand upon this in the later movies, even though they didn't really do it all that much. The later characters didn't really have dream powers. Alice just inherited all of their personality traits. Like, She inherited her smart friend's intelligence and her strong friend's strength and her brother's athletic or karate skills or whatever. That's really about it. There was no real dream powers of significance. So, bit of a missed opportunity, but I do like the concept of dream powers in general. For my final like, I have the ending of the movie, and particularly two specific scenes. One, the part where Freddy gets stabbed in the stomach and then they realize that Freddy is more powerful than he has ever been, and also the very ending of the movie, which I'll get to. But going back to the Freddy being strong scene, we learn in this ending that the more Freddy kills, the more powerful he becomes. The more souls he gains, the stronger, the faster, the more durable, the more abilities he gains. And I find that really, really cool because it actually shows Freddy as a more of a threat than he's ever been in these movies. Like in the very first movie, all Nancy had to do was just set up a bunch of traps and Freddy was pretty much null and void. But in this one, it's not going to work out quite as well. You're probably not going to be able to actually get a hand on Freddy because he could just teleport away. And if you do get close to Freddy, he could probably just lift you up and stab you in the heart like he did Will. Like, you know, it's just not going to be that easy anymore. But yeah, I do really like the fact that they introduce a whole new power dynamic Freddy. And also the last thing I like about the ending is the very, very ending where I think what is his name? Dr. Gordon? I can't remember whatever the doctor guy was named. In the scene, we see Neil going to bed and we look over to the little popsicle stick recreation of Nancy's house and the light inside of it flickers on. Now, there could be two reasons for why this is happening. Either the spirit of Nancy is looking over Neil as like sort of like a dream catcher to ward off Freddy if he ever returns, or Freddy is not dead. He's actually still alive and he's going to be back for the sequel. And the fact that they didn't confirm which one of these were actually the case makes it even better because you can come up with all these fan theories and these conclusions like, what if Nancy's like the antithesis to Freddy? She's like the dream angel to Freddy's dream demon. They should make a movie out of that, honestly. That'd be fucking cool. Just have, you know, the battle of the dream entities. That'd be so awesome, dude. Moving on to my dislike section, and my very first dislike, and I think this is probably everybody's dislike about this movie, and that is that old hag Dr. Sims. Fuck that lady. She does not deserve a medical license. She was one of the most annoying characters in this film. She did not listen to any of the characters for anything that they were saying. Treated Nancy like trash, treated Neil like trash, thought that she knew everything, but she did not know shit. And understandably, you know, how are you supposed to know that some fucking dream demon is terrorizing your little kids? Not your little kids, but your kids in general. How are you supposed to know that that there's some guy in their dreams who can kill them in real life? Like, how is she supposed to know that? But nonetheless, she was still fucking annoying, dude. Like, Jesus, give me a break. And honestly, considering how horror movies typically go, I'm surprised that she didn't get killed off. Yeah, I mean, it's not really Freddy's MO to go after people who are just shitty people in general. Like, he's a shitty person himself, so why would he go after somebody who's basically helping his cause? But I'm very surprised that they didn't actually kill her off. Very, very surprised. For my next dislike, I have Nancy's father, and, you know, there's really not much to say about him. He was a bit of a unlikable character in this film. They did pretty much a 180 from how he was in Nightmare 1, where he was, you know, somewhat relatable, somewhat reasonable. You know, you understood why he was doing the things that he did, but in this one, he was just so hard to watch, especially for an actor like John Saxon. Like, dude, I did like how they kind of paralleled him and him resorting to copious amounts of alcohol, very much like how Marge, his wife from Nightmare 1, did back in that movie. I did like that. I did like that part, but everything else with him being so brooding and him being so, like, unhelpful and him about to leave Neil to fight Freddy on his own, even though he didn't know that was going to happen, like, still, you know, not taking responsibility for what he did all those years ago. Such an unlikable character in this film. And speaking of the fight with Freddy in the junkyard, my next dislike is the scrapyard scrapping. This was one, I wouldn't say the hardest scene to watch in the movie, but it was just super jarring. One, the special effects weren't really all that great, but you can't really blame the movie all that much because it is the 80s. You know, it's probably a whole new kind of thing that they were trying to do back then. It still didn't look good regardless. One, conceptually, it didn't really make all that much sense. Like, you're telling me that Freddy at any point could have just resurrected himself and, like, you know, used his bones to do the things that he wanted to do. Granted, being a dream demon is probably a lot more beneficial for him and a lot easier. But the fact that he could do that in the first place and he's never done that before, and you guys say that Nightmare 2 took some leaps. Get out of my fucking face. Get out of my face. But yeah, I just really didn't like the whole scrapyard fight. It was just unnecessary. Didn't really look all that great either. So that's really about it. For my final and probably my biggest dislike about this movie, and that is them killing off Nancy Thompson, one of the greatest final girls of all time, and just thrown away like garbage, and also unceremoniously as well. Honestly, Freddy was very clever to use her father against her. Like, it was just such a bitch move and such a kick in the nuts as well to see her go like that. And honestly, the fact that they did that, and also the missed opportunity to have this rivalry between Nancy and Freddy, like, we got a little bit of it in this movie. And, you know, the fact that she was able to whoop Freddy's ass in the first movie, like, they had the formula to create one of the greatest slasher movie rivalries of all time. Up there with Sidney Prescott and Ghostface, up there with H2O Laurie and Michael Myers, 2018 Laurie and Michael Myers, the girl from Terrifier and Art the Clown. And it was just completely squandered. Completely squandered. Hopefully they bring Nancy back for a Blumhouse sequel, or whoever decides to resurrect the rights to Nightmare on Elm Street. The estate would finally give those shit up. Hopefully they do something with her character eventually. Hopefully they give her the send-off that she deserves. So that is about it for my likes and dislikes. Now let's move on to the Loomis meter. If you don't know what that is, it's basically just a scale from 1 to 6.
I shot him 6 times!
1 being bad and 6 being amazing. And for A Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors, I'm going to be giving it a 5 times out of 6. Dream Warriors is definitely one of the best Nightmare movies in the entire franchise. I don't agree with people when they say that it's the best Nightmare movie. I think most of that is just due to the fact that it just has so many iconic moments in the franchise. But I do really like it. I do find it very enjoyable. It is very slow at the start. It does take a little bit to get into. Like, the first 45 minutes is so to get through. But overall, it's one of the best horror movies of all time. It's one of the best Nightmare movies of all time. It's an amazing movie. I do highly recommend you watch it if you have not seen it yet. And yeah. All right, let me know what you thought about A Nightmare on Elm Street 3 The Dream Warriors in the comments down below.
You are all my children now.
Alright, I probably should switch my scratch mark color for this game, because I'm rocking the white scratch marks and I think it's a kind of a stupid idea. I'm gonna change them to green. I'll have red and green. Red trails and green scratch marks. That'd be pretty nice. But on Monday, I happened to wake up to realize, or to the news, that the Halloween DLC is leaving DVD pretty soon, which does suck, arguably, but at the same time, I'm not too upset about it. Like, I already own the Halloween DLC, so I'm not going to be missing out on much content. The only thing I will be sad to see go is Haddonfield, which is my favorite map in the entire game. And did I get survivors on my match? Is there any survivor that wants to come and play with me? Please. Oh, here we go. Hello. Hello, Tori. Hello, Tori, darling. Ooh, those scratch marks look nice. I really do like how they gave us special scratch mark colors. Very, very nice. And she is slowed down like a motherfucker. And there's somebody on this gen. I'm gonna push him off. If I can get up there. Hello. My teleport was on cooldown. Saw somebody right there. Ooh, can I get him? Ooh, I almost got him. That the corner of that thing got in the way. Pop. Oh, what if I got him? That'd be nice. That'd been so nice. It is sad to see that Haddonfield is going to go, but at the same time, I'm also not too bothered, because, you know, that means that the Halloween game has a better chance of succeeding. And, you know, I'm all for a new Halloween game taking over. Not taking over, you know what I mean. Like, you know, doing well and actually, you know, doing something. Ooh, she's right there. I'm gonna use a snare to put her to sleep. There we go. Gonna push her back towards this way. Thank you very much. God damn it. Why are you just insistently fucking putting the flashlight in my face? God damn it. Ooh, they're healing in my terror radius. Do that. Put the Michaela to sleep. Hopefully she goes for that pallet. She does not go for that pallet, unfortunate. She is, we have one stack of Devour Hope is what I was trying to say. I'm actually going to teleport to this gen and try to stop this Renato from doing it. Hello, Renato. How are you doing, my friend? How are you doing? How are you doing? It's not Renato, this is Tori. Can I make it very close at dropping that pallet? She was in the animation of dropping the pallet and everything. I don't want you, I want... Who am I chasing right now? Okay, okay, Michaela. Michaela. Ella, eh. She's asleep. And there we go. Alright. One gen done so far, and we almost have 2 stacks of Devour Hope. We could have had 2 earlier, but I kind of just, you know, messed up and followed the girl who was going for the unhook. So, oh, goddamn, 2 gens are already done. That is not good. Gonna wait a second for Starstruck to proc, just in case somebody is in our terror radius. And teleport to this gen over here. Oh, I see them. I see them! I see you! Hopping. Oh, I didn't even mean to do that, but I did it. Idiot. No, no, no. No, no, no. What the hell was that play, dude? What the fuck was that play? I've been away from DVDs so long that my MMR is literally in the toilet. It is literally in the toilet. But hopefully we can get back up one day so we can have some more decent matches. I did kind of put her in line of sight of that totem, which does suck. It's alright, though. Alright, place some more pallets. We'll place one right there. And let's put this Hori on the hook. Hori? Did I say Hori? I didn't even mean it. The Tori, there we go. You goddamn Hori. You goddamn Hori. I'm gonna go back over this way, maybe catch them off guard. Oh wow, you scared me. Spook. What are you doing touching my bones? What are you doing touching my bones? Huh? What are you doing touching my bones? Oh, I mistimed that. Oop. Ooh, I see the Michaela right there. I wonder if she called out where the totem was. There. Good read, good read, good read. Hopefully nobody goes for my totem. Oh, good read again. Not a good read right there, though. Drop it. Thank you. Ooh, maybe we can zone her back into this pallet. We cannot. Why is there no pallet here? Is there a pallet here? There isn't. Okay. Alright, hopefully they don't cleanse the totem by the time that we get this hook on its way. Where is a hook? Never mind. Never mind. Alrighty, we got a game in our hands, guys. The Michaela is injured, so we could proxy the hook a little bit. Yeah, I'm gonna go back for the unhook. Go this way. Why are they going towards me? Oh, hi. You had Dead Hard? Oh, you used your Dead Hard when you still had the base kit endures. That's something. That's something right there. There we go. Oh, she was away. The pallet wouldn't even mattered. Oh, wrong thing. Put him to sleep right there. Pop it. Pop it. Lock it. Drop it. This game has slowed down significantly after getting that first kill. Has slowed down significantly. I have a feeling they're all the way over here. They are. Hello. So, you come here often? No? Fuck you. Alright, well, I'm sorry, Michaela, but if you were the last person, I would definitely let you go, but unfortunately, you are not. Do that. You can't 360 me, I am un-360able. Because I'm on the sticks. Oh, she's not going for that. Maybe she is. 3, 2. Oh, she read that. No. That's a good read. Gonna zone her back towards the pallet that I wanted to go to. I'm misusing Brutal on Freddy. Pop it. Nice, got the wall bang right there. Hell yeah. Alright, good game, good game. Oh, I hear a little hatchy poo. Alright. Let's go get the gate for you, Renato. Oh, that was funny. Yes. You want to die? Alright, if you insist. I also have snowballs. Alright. Thank you for the kill, Renato. Alright, that's about it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.
God damn you.